Hello, welcome to English 1010. I hope you are all well. My name is Joshua Wright, and I will be your instructor for this course. I wish very much that we could all be starting out together in a real life physical classroom, face to face, in person. But we are living in strange historical times that have other plans in store for us, so we'll have to live accordingly, make the best that we can out of this situation, and be grateful that we live in a time that, despite the plague, has still provided us with certain technological tools through which we can still connect, still learn, and still kind of have a go to college, as it were, as untraditional as it may be. So this is just kind of an introduction video, a chance to go over the syllabus. If we were meeting in a regular traditional classroom, this is what we'd be doing. We'd be spending a little bit more time getting acquainted beforehand. We're going to do that a little differently because of circumstances, but as you'll see on Blackboard in your first weekly folder, there are other ways that we are going to get acquainted. And there will be another video in the same email in which you received this one. There will be another email detailing the steps to do that. But hopefully I've been led to believe that you've already been getting some training in Blackboard, so you should have a pretty good idea of how to navigate, how to get into our course room, etc., etc. If not, you should email me ASAP that you don't know what's happening. It's so important. Blackboard is going to be our main platform. It's going to be, for all intents and purposes, Blackboard is going to be our classroom. Unless things just go horribly awry, the only platforms, the frameworks that I intend to use are Blackboard and email, basically. There will be links and connections to other things like videos and possibly other texts and audio recordings and things like that. Most of the videos that I make, I will also upload to YouTube and share them with you that way. But yeah, for the most part, this is our central tool. So if you don't know how to use Blackboard, for the love of all that is holy, tell me that immediately. I need to know that. But hopefully you have some idea of what you're doing. Hopefully the other video will at least be enough to get you started with Blackboard for what we have to do this week. So this video and the other one and all the materials you're going to see on Blackboard constitute basically what is called an asynchronous session. So this class is going to be made up of asynchronous and synchronous sessions. So whenever you hear me use the word asynchronous, that just means that you'll be getting materials and assignments that you have to complete by a set time, which will usually be the end of the day for that scheduled class. So most of our asynchronous sessions are going to be the Tuesday classes, with this first week being an exception. August 27th, which is a Thursday, is going to be an asynchronous class in which you are participating right now if you're watching this video. And Tuesday, our second class, Tuesday, September the 1st, is going to be synchronous, which is outside of the ordinary. So take note and make sure that you attend the virtual classroom as completely and fully as possible by whichever means you have at your disposal. Blackboard has an app. I don't really recommend it, except to maybe stay in touch about notifications and keeping up on assignments. But unless it's a last resort, I really don't recommend like doing your assignments on the Blackboard app, doing quizzes, doing the readings, doing the discussion board on the app. It's just, there's a lot of problems with it, and we'll talk about that more down the line. But this video is devoted to the syllabus first and foremost. Quickly, I will tell you a little bit about me. I am going into my 5th semester teaching at Brooklyn College. So that's the start of my 3rd year teaching. However, I received my undergraduate degree at Brooklyn College and my master's, which I received in this past December. I wrote my thesis on Henry Miller and the idea of carnival and a text and a novel, which I'm happy to talk about with you anytime you want to, if you so desire. It's one of my sincere interests, but I'm also happy to discuss anything that you want, basically. Ultimately, this class is for you guys, and it's not about me, it's about you and what you want out of it. And however I can help you get what you want to achieve out of this class, that's my job. So bear that in mind, that this is your class. I'm the orchestrator, I'm the kind of guide of it, the facilitator, but I want you to reap rewards out of it. It's not just about grades. That's not why we're here. We're here to learn. So, with no further ado, I will show you my syllabus, your syllabus. Just give me a second to share my screen. Actually, let me just give you share my screen. So there you go. It's good to get used to this. Don't be alarmed that you've just gone into an infinity wormhole. I will be sharing my screen with you likely at many times during the semester, and there might be times when you also share your screen. But for now, let's look at the syllabus. So this is the entry to Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. That's not super important right now. What is important, let's go to the home page. I'm going to go on student view, actually, because mine looks different from yours, and I just want to take every opportunity I can to show you what you'll be seeing, to help guide you for what you need to know. So when you come into our course site, this is what you'll see. You have a little Alice in Wonderland rabbit. You have a painting by Winslow Homer, which I think are just both lovely things. So when you come in to the course page, you have this navigation panel on the side, right? So everything you need, you'll be able to access through here, unless otherwise notified. But for now, let's look at the syllabus. You can access it by hitting on syllabus and clicking on the link. So basically, we're just going to read through this, and I will annotate verbally where appropriate. And then when we have our first synchronous session on Tuesday, September the 1st, you will have the opportunity to ask me questions. You can also email me any questions you might have. You can email me about anything. I will almost always, I'm saying this now, but I'm teaching 2 classes with 56 students. But I'm going to say that I will pretty much always get back to you within 24 hours. If I start to get overwhelmed, I will to notify you that I am getting overwhelmed. That doesn't mean that you should not contact me. That just means that 24 hours might turn into, say, 48 hours. But you can email me. It's by far the best way to get in contact with me. Email me day or night at joshuacwright23@gmail.com. Be aware that this is not the same email that I have in Blackboard. I can't change that email to one that I like. If you email me at the Yahoo account that I have in Blackboard, I will get it, but probably not as quickly. And I just don't prefer that email. This is the one, joshuacwright23@gmail.com. Email me there. You will be receiving emails from me there, from that address. In this video, you will most likely be accessing as an attachment to an email that I will have sent you from that address. So basic information, English 1010, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 2:15, 3:30 p.m. That's our scheduled times. Again, the Tuesdays are going to be mostly asynchronous. The Thursdays are going to be synchronous, which means that we meet at 2:15 in Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. That's also where I will be keeping my office hours. My office hours will be, my office hours will be Thursdays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. and by appointment. And I can see I've made a mistake here. I'm going to correct that right now. Actually, in real time, you can see how that happens. There you go. That's the time, all right? So my office hours are Thursdays from 3:30 to 4:30 and by appointment. I'm happy to meet with you any other time that is convenient for us both. I'm pretty flexible, so if that time doesn't work for you and you want to meet with me and talk with me, which I highly encourage you to do and warmly invite you to do, and I say that with all sincerity, please keep as much contact with me and with your peers as possible. It's so important to maintain some kind of sense of community in these online classes, because more is lost than maybe some of you might realize. More is lost than can really be said in these online classes without that direct socializing. It's so important to learning and so important to just kind of emotional well-being, etc. Not to get lost on that, but in this week especially, that's going to be one of the themes and goals is to try to establish a sense of community and connection as much as possible, and try to create as human an environment as we possibly can out of this virtual classroom. So these are the overall course objectives. A successful completion of this course means that you will be able to critically read, analyze, interpret, and respond to a diverse range of texts and synthesize the results in your own writing. It means that you will be able to write formal, convincing, and coherent response papers and essays with strong theses. The development of a thesis is going to be one of the backbones of this course, to create a kind of argument, a blueprint for the paper that you are writing. A thesis is going to act as a roadmap. So we're going to spend a lot of time on that, and I hope that some of you, or I hope that most of you have some foundations already in how to write a thesis, but I don't necessarily take it for granted that you do. In addition to being able to write your own thesis, you should be able to identify a thesis, whether it's explicit or implied many times, especially in more artsier texts. the thesis might not be clearly stated, but there's still a thesis. There's still an organizing principle. There's still an argument, and the text that we'll be reading. No, not always. So most of the texts that we will be reading are expository essays, argumentative essays, not really fiction or poetry or anything like that. Although I will probably share a lot of poetry with you as what I consider to be a kind of treat. Probably not much fiction though, just because it's just too lengthy to expect you to enjoy even as a optional material. So what else? We will also practice and get better at using conventionally correct grammar, punctuation, and spelling. So bearing in mind that the rules of grammar are established through social convention. There are other ways of speaking, of using language that aren't necessarily wrong, but we will be practicing using what is established by academia as correct, and that we will be working on that, and you will be assessed on that to some degree. It's not a huge concern. Grammar and all that, it only becomes a huge concern when it starts to obstruct meaning, or when it's so blatant and frequent that it starts to distract from what you've written as a piece of as an academic text. Another goal is to edit and revise thoughtfully, taking into careful consideration peer and instructor critiques. We'll probably do at least one peer review. There'll be a response, not so much like a peer editing, but we'll do a peer response to one of your papers. I haven't decided which one yet. And you will be getting lengthy responses from me and critiques on your drafts. Maybe longer than you hope for, but I want you to know straight up that I read your papers with interest. I'm very interested in what you have to say, and with real attention. Always, even if you get a lesser, a shorter response from me, or if it's a negative review that you get from me, a negative response, which it will never be wholly negative, but it's with the utmost concern and support of you as a writer, you yourself as a writer, and the development of certain tools of communication, that will be essential to your college career, whatever your line of study might be. The tools that you learn in this class are transferable to any college class. And I can say that with the utmost 100% positivity that is the case. So just know that I am sincerely interested in what you're writing, and everything that I put on your papers is either just out of genuine, just trying to enter into a genuine dialogue with what you've written, and or trying to give you the most meaningful feedback that I can to help you craft the strongest piece of writing possible. Finally, the last major goal for this course is to purposefully incorporate and integrate textual evidence into your writing using MLA documentation. We won't be doing a lot of citation in this class, but you will in 1012. If you use any citations in your papers, then you should do so using MLA documentation. We might do a very brief primer on that towards the end of how to cite according to MLA. But you will be writing about texts, and you will be incorporating thoughts and evidence from those texts and references to those texts in your own writing. So be ready to synthesize ideas from writing other than your own, even if you are against those ideas, which oftentimes might be the case, and should be the case. You should think for yourself. You shouldn't believe something just because you're reading it. And I certainly you should be able to appreciate a text that's well written, even if you don't agree with it, unless it's just out and out hateful. But we certainly won't be reading anything out and out hateful in this class. Course text, all readings for this course can be found through this link. It's at libguides.brooklyn.cuny.edu/1010/index readings. I will also provide links in the weekly folders to all of the readings. But take note of that link, this link here. You can go there for the readings and for various other things. But primarily the readings. So you don't have to buy any textbooks for this class or anything. All right, so the structure of this class, it's half asynchronous and half synchronous. So to reiterate, if the session is asynchronous, that means that you will be performing the activities of that session outside of a regularly scheduled class time while making sure to submit all assignments by a respectively designated date and time. This time will usually, I've written here Tuesday by 3:30 p.m. In fact, it will usually be by 11:59 p.m. I've changed my mind on that. To give you a little bit more time for every asynchronous session. You should be aware that due dates for asynchronous sessions will never be earlier than 11:59 p.m. But sometimes I may extend the due date. Not usually for individuals, but as a class, and notifying you ahead of time, sometimes you may get an elongated due date. For synchronous sessions, we will meet in Blackboard Collaborate Ultra during the scheduled class day and time. You can refer to the other video that I will be attaching to the same email if you don't know how to get into Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. But you should be aware of how to do that ASAP. And if after watching the other video you still don't know how to do it, you should notify me immediately. It's very important. Unless otherwise notified about any changes in the schedule, Tuesday classes will be asynchronous and Thursdays will be synchronous, with the one exception of these first two classes. So this first class, August 27, is asynchronous on a Thursday, for a Thursday session. And Tuesday, September 1st, will be our first synchronous session. It'll be, unless things change for some reason, this coming Tuesday, will be our only synchronous Tuesday class. On the navigation panel on the left side of the screen on our class homepage in Blackboard, you will find a link labeled Weekly Folders. So to go back to that. This is going to be your homepage for class. When you click on it from the main Blackboard menus, it'll bring you here, and then you have this navigation panel here. You see this Weekly Folders. You click there, and there you will see your weekly folder for this week, August 27th. You click on that, and here is all your weekly goals. So at this point in time of making this video, I completely filled up the folder with everything that you'll need to do. But everything will be here. You have your introduction forum, which will take you to the discussion board for this week. Here's an assignment to email me. I'm asking you to create an avatar. So these are just the directions on how to do that. What else will be here? These videos will both be here. The videos that you're watching will be here. A quiz will be here. It won't be a difficult quiz, and you can take it as much as you'll have to get 100 on this quiz when I put it on there. But you can take it as many times as you want without repercussion, and as long as you eventually get 100 on it by the due date, you will get full credit for it. What else? There might be a couple of other things on here. But this is what's here right now. There will also be, for every weekly folder, I'll put a checklist on with a suggested schedule, especially for the asynchronous sessions. You'll have a kind of recommended timeline of when to complete each assignment, but you'll be able to do it pretty much, you'll be able to do the asynchronous sessions more or less at your own pace, as long as it's done by the appointed time. So this is your first weekly folder. But you will have one for every week. So there in the navigation panel, you'll find one folder labeled with the dates for each week of this semester. Each folder contains all the assignments, materials, and/or links to the materials for that week, as well as a breakdown of asynchronous and synchronous activity. You will also find a suggested schedule for carrying out the asynchronous sessions for that week, as well as a personal checklist for completion, which is pretty much what I just said. I'm just reiterating. Additionally, for your continued edification, inspiration, and/or amusement, the weekly folder will more often than not contain, for the interested and curious, optional supplemental materials related to the themes of that week. So for example, this week, I think I'm going to include a video of Michael Caine, you might know from the Christopher Nolan Batman films and other things. I think I'm going to include a video of him reading a poem by Rudyard Kipling called If. Maybe some of you already know this poem, but that would be purely optional. I'm going to put that in the weekly folder this week because it's kind of an inspirational piece of writing. It's kind of inspirational for starting out on new adventures, new journeys, and it's basically a poem that is written that Rudyard Kipling wrote for his son. So hopefully some of you find that to be a bit of a treat. But that would be purely optional. So more broadly, beyond the specific weekly folders, this class is organized into 6 sections, each with a different set of goals, a list of which you will receive at the start of each section. These 6 sections are devoted to the following. Introduction, which is what this is a part of. Then we will move on to the Common Reader, which will be an introductory essay for the 1619 Project, which is a collection of writing that our Times has facilitated and helped put together and headed, which kind of tries to look at history, American history, the founding of America through the prism of slavery, and look at it through the early African American experience for this country, and as the central narrative of what this country is founded upon. Then we'll move into summary. You'll have to write a couple of summaries, and we'll talk more about that. Then we'll start getting into the meaty stuff, the fun stuff, analysis and argumentation. So we'll be analyzing texts more deeply and starting to craft arguments and maybe in agreement with those texts, maybe against those texts, but then also arguments just within the themes of those texts that might not be in direct agreement or opposition with the argument of the text we'll be reading. And then we'll be moving to the compare and contrast division of this class, which hopefully you will come to appreciate the compare and contrast method as a powerful tool of analysis and argumentation, which goes beyond just a mere cataloging of differences and similarities. I'll say now that I hope to not read I hope not to read any thesis from any of you when we get to that point that says that as only argument there are many similarities and differences between text A and text B. You'll have to start to craft more complex theses within the compare and contrast model. But we'll talk much more in depth about that. And then finally, we will move into a period of exam preparation. And the fact is, I do not know the nature of the exam at this point. I will certainly let you know as soon as I know. So there's a uniform exam. I don't make the exam. There's a uniform exam for all Brooklyn College 1010 classes. And we have to abide by that. And I don't know what the exact nature of that will be yet. But we will talk about that extensively, certainly closer to the time. And as soon as I have a grasp on what it will be, you will know. All right, so there's going to be 3 main essays. The first will be an essay inspired by the 1619 project. It'll be something of the nature of a personal narrative, but we will talk more about that soon, very soon. And then the next 2 essays will be a little bit longer. You'll be doing an analytical argumentative essay and a compare and contrast essay. Each of these will be 1,000 to 1,250 words. And for each of these essays, you will turn in 1 draft before the final draft. These essays must be double-spaced in 12-point Times New Roman or similar font and formatted with 1-inch margins. See below for more information about submission guidelines. We will also be doing quizzes, a couple of summaries, and discussion boards, as well as some other assignments as yet to be determined. But these will be a large portion of your asynchronous activity and account for 20% of your overall grade, these collectively. So none of these are individually particularly high stakes, but collectively they count as much as the final. So you'll want to make sure you stay on these. Don't fall behind on the quizzes. Do the summaries, stay up on the discussion boards and the responses on the discussion boards. Otherwise, the loss of points will accumulate quickly, and none of these are meant to be hard. So you'll take a few quizzes only in the beginning. Only in the beginning. I'm not big on quizzes, but I think that these are a good way just to help you stay up on the readings in the beginning until we fall into a groove. And they're designed to be very easy if you've done the necessary reading, and they should be difficult if you have not. So if you want to save yourself trouble and stress, just do the reading and then do the quiz, and it'll be easy. And there's nothing to worry about. Just do the reading, nothing to worry about. The main point of these quizzes, apart from what I just said about helping you stay up on the reading, thing is to prepare to write 2 well thought out, well structured summaries of 250 to 500 words each. So these quizzes will, in a way, amount to a kind of outline, a summarizing outline for the texts about which you'll be taking the quizzes. And then you'll do 2 summaries. And then from there, we will transition to deeper dives into the texts and themes of this class, especially with the discussion board feature on Blackboard. And this will remain an essential part of the class for the third part of the semester. Your first discussion board is this week. It's just a very simple way to introduce yourself. So you'll see it when you go into the weekly folder, Introduction Forum. There it is. You click on there. You click on there, create thread, and then you can type away and go nuts. So you have a prompt, and basically you just respond to the prompt whenever you have a discussion board. This will be the first of about 10, and they're kind of free writes. This one I want you to stay pretty much on the prompt, but you will have to, with other ones, it'll be all right if you drift away from the prompt a little bit, as long as you stay on topic, right? So I'm asking specific questions in this one, which are just icebreakers. So they're not hard, but I would like you to stay on prompt for this one. But as long as you answer these questions, then you can veer off if you want. Write 1,000 words, write 2,000 words. I don't care. The more, the better. It'd be fantastic if you just roll your hearts out. This is a writing class, so write. So the final exam, as I just said, I don't really know the nature of that yet. Stay tuned for more details soon. And take note that these are only the primary graded assignments for this course. There will also be a variety of synchronous exercises and maybe some more asynchronous activities not listed here, which will feed into your participation grade. In general, your asynchronous missions will revolve around the readings, and the synchronous will center largely on writing. Some of the asynchronous material will be in preparation for the asynchronous sessions. That'll usually be like maybe like a video, maybe a few independent exercises, but that's not usually going to be very extensive. You'll have like some preparatory materials you might have to do, maybe an extra reading that's not listed on the syllabus, or watch a video that I've made in preparation for what we will be doing in a synchronous session. That might be part of your asynchronous session. So pay close attention. Sometimes you'll have a choice about these preparatory materials. So sometimes, like, I might make a PowerPoint and a video, and you'll have the option of whether to go through the PowerPoint on your own or watch video, both of which should prepare you for the synchronous session. So pay close attention each week to everything that you must do and when you have the choice. So again, this will all be laid out and labeled week by week. So another really important part of your grade is participation, attendance, and sincerity of effort. In the virtual classroom, participation might take on many forms. For our synchronous sessions, though, I strongly suggest that you use the audio and video components in Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. I know that there are technical complications that might arise, and I have understanding and sympathy and empathy for these. But I do expect you to participate as fully as any and all available mechanical capabilities allow. At the very least, you should be able to engage through the chat function. But be aware that lack of participation, especially when performing as part of a group, will be quickly evident. I will be able to tell who's participating and who isn't. And again, there are many ways to participate, and there are many ways to not participate. But make this class your own. Participate to the best of your abilities through whatever tools that you have. But participate. Be present. It's so important to everyone involved. You and everybody else. It's so important to be present in every way possible. And to help facilitate that, we will be taking steps to create as human and inviting a virtual classroom as possible. And some of these steps will be in the first weekly folder. But attendance is tallied in part by your evidenced presence in our synchronous sessions and Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, especially evidenced participation in the group work. You are allowed 2 excused absences from synchronous sessions. So that is, you can miss 2 without making up the work in any way, without penalty, which is pretty much on par for if we were meeting in a physical classroom, right? And that's how I want you to think of it. If we were meeting in a physical classroom, like there's still, you might run into train problems and this and that. It's the same thing. It's the mechanical issues of the commute, as it were, might interfere. And I always have understanding for those things as well. So you have this margin of allowance, but you should be present. It's for you. Your presence is for you and your classmates. And it's just appreciated by me. But that is what is the essential part, the necessary thing for you to get something of value out of this class. If you do miss a synchronous session, they will all be recorded, and I will be writing up a set of review questions for you. You can go back and watch the video and answer after watching the recording if you miss more than 3 synchronous sessions. But just please try not to get there, and just stay in touch with me as much as possible. Furthermore, failure to complete the asynchronous assignments for the week, that will also count as an absence, in addition to the points lost for the missing work. So if you don't do the asynchronous assignments, you will be losing attendance points, and you'll also be losing points for the missing work. So it's kind of a double whammy. So do those asynchronous assignments. You can do them at your own pace, so there's no reason to be missing that stuff if you want to pass. If you don't want to pass, then miss away. In short, in summation, be present in every way possible. Again, not only will you reap richer rewards from the class, but the class itself will in turn be especially enriched by the unique contributions that only you can make. And I mean that absolutely sincerely. Again, this is your class. It's what you make out of it. And all of you collectively and individually, you each bring something special and unique and a different viewpoint. And we learn as much from that, all of us, we learn as much from what you bring to it as the stuff that we're reading and talking about. That stuff only has value when everybody is there, when you are there to add your viewpoint, your own take on it. Submission guidelines. Unless otherwise notified, submit all assignments through Blackboard. You will receive a written set of instructions and a video tutorial for how to do this. Their video I give you will cover some of this. But you will generally be able to submit via links in the weekly folders. Submit all papers and drafts as docx or PDF files only. So this is for the papers and drafts, and it's because I want to give you feedback. Do not type your papers and drafts directly into the content field in the assignment page on Blackboard. The reason for that is simply because this makes, I can't do in-text annotations if you type the if you type your paper directly into the content field, so if I give you an example, sorry, I have to exit. I haven't set up any papers for this class yet, so I have to show you my other ones. Here it is. Here's one. Sorry, that is not one. That is not one. Hold on. So this is a previous class of mine, but you can just see. Bear with me. All right, so like don't write your papers here in the comments. Just do it as a attached file, and you can attach whatever. And I'll be editing this part of the video out. Anyway, let's go back to the home page. All right, so yeah, basically, make sure that you submit the papers and drafts as attachments, as .docx or PDF file only. Please no other kinds of files. It's really a pain in the neck for me to get them open. And also, if you type the paper directly into the content field or the comment field, I can't make in-text annotations. But take note, that's for the papers only. The discussion boards, you do it in the space provided for the discussion boards and all that. Do not do an attachment. Make it easy to read for me and for your classmates. All papers and drafts should be typed in 12-point Times New Roman or similar font, as I said above, double-spaced and formatted with 1-inch margins. And again, note that your discussion board posts do not need to be as carefully formatted. And unlike the papers and drafts, you can and should write discussion board posts in the content field provided in Blackboard. So late work, you do have some leeway with late work, but not a lot. Not a lot. Take note. You are allowed one late submission of paper up to a week late with a 5% penalty to the score for each day that is late, up to a 35% reduction, right? So a week late, 7 days, 5% a day, 35%. Late drafts will not result in lengthened revision time, so be sure to turn in all drafts when they are due. So basically what that means is if you turn a draft in late, I won't dock you late points on the first draft, but you won't get any extra time. Right, so just get those in on time because you'll need that time. Asynchronous work will be accepted up to a week late for half credit. No work will be accepted a week late, but do not make a habit of turning in anything late because habitual late submissions will also dramatically reduce your overall participation grade. Each part of this class builds on what precedes it, so always stay up to date to solidly fortify each session. Grading breakdown, you can see here, the first paper including draft 10%, second paper including draft 15%, third paper including draft 15%. I'm speeding through this now to make this video as short as possible, and these parts I think are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm going to speed through some of this. 2 summaries, 10%, quizzes and discussion boards, etc. Final 20% participation attendance, and sincerity of effort, 10%. Note on grading, C- is the lowest possible passing grade for the course that's established by Brooklyn College. So you cannot pass with a D. If you get a D or the equivalent, you'll have to take the class again. English department policy states that a student with a final grade below a C- receive an NC, that is a no credit. The student may take the course up to 3 times. F grade will be given in the case of too many absences or failure to complete assignments. A grade of NC may be given if the student's work is not at a passing level. The student has good attendance and has completed all assignments. Students receiving an F or an NC grade must retake English 1010. Students may take English 1010 up to 3 times. This is the Brooklyn College grading scale. These are general class policies. If you have religious beliefs that interfere or take precedent over attending a certain class, you should be aware of your rights, which I stand by. I have full respect for whatever your beliefs are, but you should let me know if that's the reason that you're going to miss a class. Plagiarism, simply do not do it. Do not do it. It is not tolerated at Brooklyn College. It will not be tolerated in this class. If I catch you plagiarizing, which is not hard to do, in some ways it's much easier in an online class. It's so much easier, really, to spot plagiarism. You will fail the assignment in question, possibly the entire class. And you may be subject to disciplinary action by the college, especially because I am required and more than willing, I will happily report all cases of plagiarism to the college, which is more than, it's not just what I believe, it's what I'm required to do. It's not fair to yourself or your classmates to plagiarize. So just don't do it. Don't do it. Every semester I get somebody that plagiarizes and, they didn't heed the warning and they paid the price. So just don't do it. Don't do it. It's simple. Don't do it. Student bereavement policy, you can read that via this link. And I have full respect for that. Again, you should let me know if you experience loss of a loved one and that interferes with the attendance. Office hours, I warmly welcome you to visit me during my virtual office hours, which will be in Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, and we can talk about your work. You can talk about whatever you want. I'm happy to try to find another time if my normal office hour doesn't work for you, as discussed above and earlier in the video. Tech support, you might need this for these online classes. It can help you with Blackboard or other technological issues you might be having. So you have an email here, you have the phone number, and their hours. The Learning Center, which would normally be in 1300 Boylan, has writing tutors that can still help you with your writing, and it is highly recommended that you use them as a resource. You can currently contact them here. If you go to this link, it will provide you, I think, an email of how to get in touch, and I highly recommend that you utilize them as a resource. No matter where you feel that your level of writing experience or expertise is, it always helps to have another pair of eyes look at it, another pair of trained and experienced eyes. Like I said, I will always give as full and complete and meaningful feedback as possible, but it's another viewpoint. If nothing else, showing your paper to a tutor from the Learning Center, it's another viewpoint. And if you are having extensive like grammar issues and stuff, they should be able to help you clean that up a little bit and work with you. If you have a disability, specifically a learning disability, you should file with the Center for Student Disability Services. You can get it documented, which you need to do if you want accommodations. And you should provide me and all your other professors with the accommodation form and discuss your specific accommodations with me as soon as possible. And that is, of course, for you. If you're somebody that this applies to, communicating that is for your benefit. If you have questions about immigration status or DACA for yourself or for someone else, please visit this website. It can help you and provide you resources to how to deal with that. And finally, within our Blackboard site, I will be setting up a community discussion board, and I really just genuinely hope that you all use this. Again, the setting up some semblance of community and ways to become friendly with one another and to connect is so important. So I'll be setting up this other discussion board, and I'll be popping in and out of it. But hopefully, it's more for all of you to talk to each other about whatever you want. This is meant to fill the kind of margins, the time, the minutes before and after class. And you'll have a peer mentor who I believe you've already heard from, who will also be helping to facilitate these connections, as well as being a guide for other things Brooklyn College related. So make sure that you pay attention to the discussion board, your peers, and your peer mentor. All of these things are just to stay connected, try to make us feel like we're really getting the full college experience as much as that is possible with what we have provided for us in the plague days. I'm going to let the video off here because I think it's far too long at this point. But have a look at the class schedule. Again, this is your first asynchronous session. This is basically your first class. And then the second class will be synchronous, and the third class will also be synchronous. So take note of that. And I'll just comment here that this schedule constitutes an outline of the primary assignments, themes, and readings only. Please consult the weekly folders for complete materials assignments and section objectives. And all dates are subject to change, and they likely will change according to your needs and the class dynamic. So have a look at the reading at the schedule for yourself. We will talk about this more fully on September the 1st, and hopefully via email. And yeah, so again, I'm glad to make all of your acquaintance and such as we are. And I look forward to a fun and interesting semester with all of you. Good night.